every day. Makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living
Oh, you
radio.
know we need them. Yes, we do. We need those strategies for living. So are you ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm taking roll. Are you ready?
I am locked and loaded.
That's what I was afraid of. Hey, folks, welcome into Strategies for a Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan. She is psychotherapist, PLPC Lauren Leon McMillan, and he is newly minted Master of Science, Jay Merrill.
Ain't it great? All those letters, having letters after your name, that gives you, what does that give you, David?
More letters.
More letters?
Letters, and if I give you $5, you can get a cup of coffee with that at Starbucks.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I got all my paperwork into the state board for my PLPC. I'm
All right.
just waiting. Hopefully it's complete. I hadn't heard back from them. They're very efficient.
They are
send
very,
an
very
email.
efficient, and then you'll get the letter after the board meets. They'll do the standard approval thing.
It's the 20th of this month.
I think that
think
sounds
that's
right.
right.
And so maybe the next time or a
You'll be
couple
able
of
to-
times I'll be able to say PLPC.
Yeah,
Jay
All
Merrill.
right.
It's what a journey it's been, huh?
it has.
Yeah.
It has. I shared with you some things that one thing that happened this morning that I'm not going to go into, but it could have been annoying.
Yeah.
And, I'm convinced that one of the reasons that not as many things get on me negatively as used to is because I've been through this whole thing that,
Yeah.
I'm able to
Put a perspective on
put
things.
perspective on and the way you respond, the feelings that you have about some have a lot to do with behavior, don't they?
Absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. And it's interesting because you're leading into, we're going to talk today about some things that, we unfortunately,
We take for granted. Is that
we
fair to
forget.
say?
I mean,
Yeah.
they're painfully, obvious, and yet we forget them. We're going to talk about that today. here
Awesome.
on Strategies for Living. Folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being with us, and we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing,
Roof.
and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitta's Delicatessen. They're the home of The Godfather, alligator Italian sausage, and some pretty good muffies, too. Back in a moment with Lauren and Jay, some things that are painfully obvious, but we forget way too soon. Back in a moment here on Strategies.
Lauren, Jay, and David find a way to help you out most every day. They help us think healthy and make us smile too. They bring out the strategies just for you. Strategies for Living Radio. Strategies for Living Radio.
Yeah, that's us, and we're here. Jay Merrill and Lauren Leon McMillan and David McMillan here on Strategies for Living. You know, guys, you know how you can hear something. You can hear something maybe 100 times, and you hear it in a bunch of different ways before it just clicks, right?
Yeah.
It gets through finally.
Yeah. When the student's ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah, but
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, but there are some things in life, and we're going to talk about some of those things today. There are some things in life that are just so, they're just so obvious, right? And yet, here's the deal. The truth doesn't vanish just because I forget it or because I ignore it. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't?
It doesn't stop.
That's
being
really
the
worked
truth.
well for me.
Yeah.
What you resist persists, or so I've heard.
Yeah, so I think, was that Jung?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's some things that we really need to get. There's some things that we really need to remember once and for all. I'm going to throw the first of many that we'll talk about today out, and that is the average human life. It's short.
Mm-hmm.
It's relatively short.
Yep.
Have I ever told you, I know I've told Lauren, Jay, have I ever told you the story of years ago, I'm laying in my bed, and I have this dream. It's a dream right before I woke up, right? And I'm punching numbers into a calculator. And I see myself punching in 365 times 80, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the alarm rings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get out of bed. I didn't get out of bed right away. I do what I usually do. If I have the luxury, I'd lay there for a second. And particularly coming out of a dream, what did that dream mean? And I decided, my parents are in their 80s, so that must be what the dream meant. Mm-hmm. So that satisfies me. I got up out of bed, and I'm heading towards the kitchen to get my cup of coffee. And out of the corner of my eye, there's the calculator. And I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it because the dream in the dream I was punching numbers into the calculator. So I sit down and I, calculate out 365 times 80 at 29,200. And my first response was, this damn calculator's broken. It's got to be more than 29,200 days in an 80-year life. That's not enough. What's wrong with you? So I cleared it and I did it again.
And Shazam.
And then a third time. And before I convinced myself, okay, this is it. Go get your cup of coffee. 29,200. But before I did that, I did something strange. I took the 29,200 and I divided it. I think I divided it by 4. I guess. No, I divided it by 12.
Okay.
And to get the number of months, which of course, I wasn't, I didn't win the math. I didn't win the math ribbon at Jesuit like you did. But I mean, again, it's painfully obvious that life is short.
And then you die.
And then, and how quick does a day go?
Wow.
How quick does a week go?
Wow.
How quick does a month go? Mm-hmm. And so this first truth that we're talking about, life is short, but how many times do we forget that? Does it not, do we act as if?
Well, we take it for granted.
Yeah, we've got all the time in the world.
Yeah, and I'll do it tomorrow. I've got tomorrow, and I've got the next day.
That kind of changes we're talking about stages of life.
Yeah.
That changes the older we get. That changes, I don't know, around, what is it, maybe 60, 65?
Yeah, I think it does for if we're at all conscious and we've done any kind of work on ourselves. Yes, I think it does, Jay. Although I'm not sure that it does for everybody.
Well, it does.
And I think some people could develop it earlier too. I mean, it's an individual thing, but yeah, on the whole, I think you can become more aware of it the closer you get to, the average lifespan. Yeah.
I'm there.
It's been said that the greatest loss is what dies inside of you while you're still alive. And, in life, we can be either comfortable or courageous, but we can't be both at one time.
Yeah.
And so, I guess maybe that's this first thing that we're talking about. What do you want to be? Do you want to be comfortable or do you want to be courageous?
Both.
Yeah.
Maybe a little of both.
Sometimes we got to be bold, and sometimes
Agreed.
we gotta slide. We gotta be. Even though I'm scared to death, okay, this is.
But it's also
let's take a chance here.
about recognizing the miracle of every second, of every breath, of every life.
Yeah.
That you have.
Yeah.
To recognize that, it reminds me of your call to action at the end of every show.
Yeah, if today were the last day of your life and you only had one more phone call you could make. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually brilliant.
It is.
I do that.
It is.
I do that to remind myself. I mean, and I guess I think it really, the dream that I shared with you, I really think that significant dream. I had that dream around 2000. My parents both passed away in 2007. And I think the combination of that dream and the memory of it, plus about 7 years later, having to say goodbye to two very important people in my life, I think that I don't know exactly when I started using it, Jay and Lard, but I think that was the impetus for it. I really do. But it's to remind me.
Well, and for those that are self-aware enough to realize it should be helpful to a lot of people that listen. I mean,
hope
it's
so.
What it is, it's a call to presence.
Yeah. Tempus fugit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To a great extent, and this is another one of the, I think, things that are painfully obvious, but we put it aside or we forget about it. You live the life, all of us live the life that we create for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And our life is ours. It's ours alone. And, there's a lot of folks that try to persuade us this or that or the other, but they can't decide for us.
No. Yeah, well, it reminds me, I think it's an Oscar Wilde quote, something along the lines of, if you don't know who you are, the world will tell you who you should be. Sort of situation.
Yeah.
So it's about recognizing your role as a creator in your own life.
Yeah.
And to take that responsibility, take it up and recognize that it's empowering rather than frightening. I think a lot of people are frightened of the power that we actually all contain.
I think that's true, Lauren. I think that it's...
And I can raise my hand. I remember and still on occasion feel that, like, oh my gosh, I could do whatever.
Yeah.
And so what am I going to do with it? That's a lot of power.
In our little book, 10 Truths That Will Change Your Life.
Right.
Shameless plug, available on Amazon.
Absolutely.
Order yours today. Before Amazon sells out, which will never happen.
Right.
Hey, now.
But the very first truth that we chose to lead with was we are creators. And,
and the fact of the matter is, whether we are aware of it or not,
change it.
It doesn't change the fact that we are constantly creating. It's the question is, how consciously are you choosing to create?
So do I see it? If I take that C, and I've said this before many times, but if I take that C in creator, Jay, and I move it 3 letters to the right, it becomes reactor.
Right.
Or creative becomes reactive.
Right.
And how many of us and how many people that we interact with and know are, they're way more reactive than they are creative.
Right. That's about taking that shift from life is happening to me to life is happening for me, and I'm a co-creator with life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus it's happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty important distinction.
It's a huge shift.
Massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once we make it, at the end of the day, it's your life.
It's the difference between being a survivor and a victim.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh, you can say that again.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, well, I choose not to be a victim.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
how many of us live our lives as if
Well, we
are?
We create.
That's a whole approach.
victimhood.
That's a whole approach to life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Victim. It's
what they did to me. See
Yeah.
what
Well,
it did to me.
Let's don't get political, but there's this whole political movement that's built around oppressors and oppressed.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
and it's victim status is sort of a sign of virtue in some quarters.
We in some quarters we make it that way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Entire cultures is
we did.
sometimes.
We just, you pour me a
Yep,
drink.
exactly.
Yeah.
We are talking today. We're having a conversation today. All of us, Jay and Lauren and I and you, we're having a conversation about things that are painfully obvious, but they're easy to forget. That's what we're talking about today here on Strategies for Living. I'm trying to remind all of us, we got a few more. We'll have we'll share them with you when we come back right here on Strategies for Living. Stay with us. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center. I say it a lot. There's no place like the Robinson.
Absolutely, there is not.
617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. You've got so much. You got the movies. You got Abby Singer's Bistro on the second floor of RFC, open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday.
Newly remodeled.
Absolutely. Great menu. RobinsonFilmCenter.org is the way you check it all out. You can go to RobinsonFilmCenter.org at any time and find out what movies are showing. Here's the deal. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. When you become a member, you become a star. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. I'll say it again. There's no place like the Robinson.
There is not, and I'm glad we have one right here.
Absolutely. The RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with Learning RX Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, Learning RX Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call Learning RX Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does Learning RX Shreveport.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
Hey, thank you for joining us. And we've got some strategies. Just happen to have a few strategies here on Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, Jay Merle, David McMillan, and we're glad you're here with us. And we're talking about some things that are just absolutely painfully obvious in life, but we forget. We forget about them, and to our dismay, they can kind of bite us.
Yep.
One of the ones that I want to throw out is busy, 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 busy. How many people do both of you know that are busy, busy, busy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, busyness, being busy, does not necessarily mean productive. Busyness in itself is not a virtue, and I might ruffle some feathers here. It's not something to respect.
No.
we all have seasons of crazy schedules. Very few of us have a legitimate need to be busy all the time. We do. If we are, we don't know how to set boundaries. We don't know how to prioritize properly, and we don't know how to say no when we need to.
Yeah.
So
I think this one is also very cultural. I mean, in especially in America, in the Western world, we so highly value productivity and efficiency, and we
misequate that with busyness.
Productivity in the terms of what are you producing and what are you doing. I mean, again, it's one of the first things we ask people, right? What do you do?
Yeah.
What's your name and what do you do?
What do you do? Yeah.
Where do you live?
Right.
Yeah. Well, see how rich you are.
Yeah. Exactly. As if it matters, and that's coming up. That a variation on that one you're mentioning is coming up.
What we've gotten ourselves into is we don't know how to be still anymore. And that, to me, I mean, you started it off by saying that busyness is not always productive.
No.
And I would also add that rest is highly productive.
Yeah.
In fact, I think more productivity often comes from rest than from doing.
I agree with you.
And I think many of the creative geniuses, would agree in terms
Einstein,
of,
for instance, said many of his, discoveries, downloads came from
rest. Yeah, things come. I'll quote my sister, Catherine. She's real good about resting. She has a
She's
saying.
good at it, right?
She's real good at it. It's apparently, I think it's like a Spanish proverb. It's, oh, how wonderful it is to rest after doing absolutely nothing.
That's good, but I think it's important.
No, I mean, and she actually got me into meditation. And so thoughts come, and, I think that problems have a way of working themselves out if we can get quiet.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the idea that if there's a problem, the solution's already been created.
I'll go with that.
Because, I mean, it just makes sense to me on a quantum level. Because, if two things are created at the same time, so it's just about being still enough to listen, to find, what it was there all along.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
Inevitably, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's our deathbed, inevitably, we will at some point come to wish that we spent less time in the buzz of busyness and more time living purposefully. And I think it's good for us to stop in this busy. I mean, we're so easily drawn into busyness in this world we live in.
Yeah.
So it's good for us to remind ourselves and stop.
Our personal devices, our cell phone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We can stay engaged. We can stay plugged into something
24/7.
24/7.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. I mean, it's kind of mesmerizing.
I think we all are.
Oh, yeah.
I think we all are.
It hijacks those systems.
It does.
It does what it's supposed to do.
And I go, what am I doing? I've been doing this for 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. You just you lose it.
Well, I mean, you're
Yeah,
just,
you do. And yeah.
And back to that first one we mentioned, there's only so many. We don't know what it is, thankfully, but we have a birth date and we have an exit date. We don't know. Most of us don't know what that exit date's going to be.
Right.
But it's a fact that we have one, and so you can do the math if you want to get a calculator.
Let's don't.
And, but you have a certain number of days, and it's good to remind ourselves and be aware of it.
Be aware.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing to be aware of is just like the busyness, we live in a culture of success, don't we?
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. Some kind of failure always, and I don't say that word always often, but I'm going to use it this time. Some kind of failure always occurs before success. Most of our mistakes, most mistakes are unavoidable. And so we need to learn to forgive ourselves. It's not a problem to make mistakes. It's only a problem if we refuse to learn from the mistakes.
And it's a problem if we avoid mistakes altogether.
Yeah, if we're afraid of failure that we don't do anything,
Yeah.
And so I tell you, behind anything great, let's take a piece of art. Behind any great piece of art, there are dozens of failed attempts to make it.
Right.
But those attempts are simply not shown to us. We're not aware of them. We don't see them.
Yeah.
So, this thing called learning, learning is the key. And to learn, I mean, do you remember? Do you remember walking into first grade for the first time or kindergarten for the first time?
I remember them. I don't remember the first time, but I remember both of those.
I remember walking in and seeing on the wall of Crumplebeck Kindergarten, Gertie Crumplebeck was my kindergarten teacher. Gertie Crumplebeck. How about that?
Mine was Miss Winterroad.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great name? Crumplebeck and Winterroad. They could have teamed up.
Yeah.
We'll add Brantley to the list then.
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I remember, looking and around the room at the plastered up 1, 2, 3, 4 on the wall and A, B, C, D. And that may as well have been Greek. I didn't know what those were.
Yeah.
But what happens over time? You are willing to begin to learn and sing your little ABC song and do all of that and make mistakes. You have to make mistakes to be able to really learn. Today, I pretty much take for granted most of the time that I can speak English.
Yeah.
Although sometimes Lauren says, "What?"
Yeah.
But thanks to Gertie Crumplebeck and then Sister Mercedes, I learned my 1, 2, 3s and ABCs. Yeah. Took a while, but I did it.
Right.
Yeah. So, we got to be willing to make mistakes in order to do the thing that is important to do in life.
And we got to be
which
willing,
is learn.
I think, to get messy too. I think that's something we avoid all the time as well.
Yeah.
To get messy and make mistakes and just, enjoy it because it's fun if you allow it to be play. Because that's what life can be if you allow it. And I'm speaking to myself here too. I mean, it's important to remember play. And one of my favorite ideas that I've gotten from my own inner work is to kind of remain in this PC attitude. And I don't mean politically correct.
PC attitude.
PC, playful, curious.
Ooh,
playfully curious.
I like that.
Yeah, to stay PC, the attitude of PC. Yeah. And if you approach life with a PC attitude,
a playfully curious attitude. Yeah.
I mean, think of all the things you could get into and you can learn and expand from.
And what fun.
Yeah.
And what fun you would have.
Knowing that you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I've told this before. It's been a while, but my sister, who's almost 13 years older than I am, was a theater major at Centenary College, and so I grew up going and seeing her in plays. And one that stands out was a play that they did at Centenary years ago called "Behind the Yellow Door."
Right.
And Barbara played this Carol Burnett, character that, when Carol Burnett would dress up as the cleaning lady with bring her mop and pail around, that was the kind of character this was. But she was wise, and all of the people in the village would come to her for advice. And I remember one piece of advice that was a line of the play, and it stayed with me to this very day. And this guy shows up in a suit, and she turns her pail over, and he sits down on the pail, and she says these words: "If you worry, you die.
Yeah.
And if you don't worry, you still die.
Yeah.
So why worry?"
Right.
And I guess I must have been, 7, 8 years old
Yeah.
when I heard that line.
Right.
But it made so much sense to me. you know?
How many times, so I heard a saying somewhere along the way, worrying works because everything I ever worried about never happened. That's obviously not always true, but
Right.
I mean, y'all know about catastrophizing and taking it out to, 3 digits, and it's just not productive.
No,
No, and it takes you out of the present.
Yeah,
It's
but it also
biggest.
produces stress and shortens your life.
and waste a lot of energy
Yeah.
and does all kinds of things.
Yeah.
We are talking today here on Strategies for a Living. We are in a conversation about those things that we are absolutely painfully aware of, but we forget. The things that we are painfully aware of, but we forget. Talking about those today here on Strategies for a Living, and Jay's even got a couple more. We'll be back to share them.
I got 1,000 of them.
Yeah, you do. Ha-cha-cha-cha. Be right back.
My nose is growing.
Yes, it has.
From the bayou to your table, we're keeping it alive with flavors from the family, passed down to survive. The Godfather's here with a twist in the tail, alligator Italian sausage, and it sure won't fail. It's the boss of the bayou, a taste you can't refuse. Italian tradition, Cajun infused. Godfather sausage, bold and true. The Padres bringing the bayou to you.
Get the Godfather alligator Italian sausage only at Fertitta's Delicatessen, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Pick up a muffy while you're there. The Godfather alligator Italian sausage. It's a taste you can't refuse. Sold only at Fertitta's, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Dealing with stress, pain, feel like you're running out of options? When your life is balanced, wellness is a given. True wellness is holistic. It's about the mind, the body, and the spirit, all in balance. Now, there's a place right here in Shreveport that's all about helping us achieve peak mental, emotional, and physical health. The Balanced Life, 117 Kings Highway, right next door to Strawn's. Come see and feel the difference getting your life in balance can be. Many of your friends and neighbors have already learned the difference less stress and pain mean in their lives. You can book a discovery session right now online, thebalancedlife.us. All you've got to lose is stress, pain, or maybe both. Come see and feel for yourself the real difference balanced wellness makes. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, 117 Kings Highway in Shreveport, next door to Strawn's. Thebalancedlife.us.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies for living radio.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living Radio. Lauren Leon McMillan, Jay Merle showed up with this hassle. I'm David McMillan, by the way. Jay Merle
Hassle of problems.
shows up today with this hassle
Of wisdom.
This hassle of
wisdom.
stuff. Look at all the stuff that he showed up with.
I know.
You know, and it's all of this stuff, and we're all painfully aware of this stuff.
They're almost cliches.
And yet, they've been in the back of Jay Merle's truck covered up.
I know, I had to unload.
Yeah.
So,
We have
I
to
mean,
do that every now and then.
we're painfully aware of all of these. We know them early, but we forget them. Here's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just thought of one. Can I add one to your list?
Of course you can.
I think something along the idea of that it's a miracle that we're here. Every single thing that occurs is actually a miracle.
Yeah.
I think it's actually an Albert Einstein quote. You know, there are only two ways to see the world. One is that nothing is a miracle, and the other is if everything is a miracle.
Let me share something with y'all.
Yeah.
Please.
Every once in a while. So I have a first cousin. His name is Philip.
Yep.
And I don't have brothers. I have 2 sisters. Philip's my brother.
Okay.
Like a brother.
My
Yeah.
first cousin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we grew up together. I called him yesterday, and folks, who would you call? What are you waiting for? I called cousin Phil yesterday because we talk once a month.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this very thing. We were going down the litany of stuff we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
And Philip goes, we're really lucky to be alive.
It's a miracle
That's
you
a
two are
miracle
here.
we're
I mean,
right?
we set a land speed record from Cleveland, Ohio to Dayton, Ohio, and a 396 cubic inch Camaro in 1967.
Lord.
I mean, it just the front end's floating.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and we talked about this. There's so many things that we experienced that could have killed us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
Well, when when you think about, when you study a little bit of science, you don't need to
Yeah.
study much,
No.
but to study a little bit of science and realize how much out there
What
is
it
floating
takes.
around that can really do damage to us. And yet, this incredible human body has this magnificent,
Miraculously
miraculous
formed on
human
its own.
body. Yeah. And has this system within it, we call it the immune system,
Yeah.
which for the most part takes care of us,
Right. Yeah.
And then there's the guardian angel thing.
And then there's the angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me
And
here.
as Catholics, we believe that there are one.
Yeah,
for
we do.
each of us.
Yeah, we do. And
He was real busy.
some of ours were busier than others.
I think
Jay.
some of us have a whole clan of them.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
may.
Might have to.
All right, so we're into this kind of the spiritual. Let me throw one in the mix here.
Okay.
You don't have to wait for an apology to forgive. Life gets so much easier when you learn to accept the apologies that you don't receive. Let me say that again. Life gets so much easier when we learn to accept the apologies we never receive.
Real important.
That's like getting bit by a snake and chasing down the snake.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Right?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
have to hold the snake in order
Yeah, come here.
Yeah.
to get better. I mean, really?
No, that's really a good metaphor.
Well, and you gave one a couple of weeks ago on the show, Jay. You talked about, that holding a grudge.
Yeah, nursing
Is-
resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally unproductive.
Forgiveness is, we forget that, forgiveness is not for the other person.
It's for you.
For you to unburden yourself.
Yeah.
And when we forgive, we're making a promise not to hold the unchangeable past against ourself today, our present self.
Say that again.
All right. When we forgive, we're making a promise not to hold the unchangeable past against our present self.
Operative word unchangeable past.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't change the past.
Right.
It-
And so what you
it's the
do
past.
if you're not forgiving on a daily and sometimes within the day, multiple times a day, on a daily basis, what you're doing is you're just stuck in that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Or you're in the basement watching the reels go over and over again because
Absolutely.
it's just, and you're not allowing the miraculous present, which is always changing and always coming and unfolding for you around you. What you're doing is completely blocking that
Yeah.
by saying, no, it's this way and this way, which was in the past and hurt me. I mean, that sounds like torture.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is because it is.
And we know people who are there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not always, but probably a lot of the time miserable.
Here's another one. It's not other people's job to love and respect us.
Ooh,
It's ours.
yes.
It's not other people's job to love and respect us. So many of us want and expect love and respect, but that's not other people's job. It's my job to love and respect me. Jay, it's your job to love and respect you. Lauren, it's yours to love and respect you. It's important to be nice to others,
Yeah.
but it's even more important to be nice to yourself. And how many of us are unkind to ourselves?
Yeah. So, y'all have been at this professionally longer than I have. How many times do you have someone come in that needs that sorted out?
Oh, almost always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost one of the primary
That's
issues that we need to tackle.
Number one.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get to like yourself, love yourself, other things come into
Everything falls into place. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I could say this a lot of ways, but I'll say it the way Jesus said it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Right.
Love God, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Because here's the deal. If you truly unconditionally love yourself, you won't have to worry about anything, because if somebody invites you into some kind of criticism or judgment or anything else, you have you to hold your back and
Absolutely.
to say, look, I'll take that into consideration, but I don't agree with that. And I also want to sort out here that love and approval are different things. I can love you and I can love myself, but still not approve
to have
of
some things that you don't approve of.
And that I'm working on.
Yeah. We're all works in progress.
Right.
And that gets to the last one I want to slide under real quick. Everything changes every day.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changes every day. So what do we need?
time.
What do we need first and foremost? We need acceptance of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes.
when we fight against that, we cause a great deal of pain for ourselves and for others around us.
It's really acceptance is the answer to all of our difficulties.
It truly is, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is. We have often talked about the magnificent 12 steps, and we've had some programs on them, and we will do some more. But, one of the things that is really about is about it starts with acceptance.
Yep.
It starts with acceptance and actually finishes there, too.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on that.
Yeah. Talking about things that are painfully true, but that we forget today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back. Stay with us. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Jay Merle and Lauren Leon McMillan. I'm David McMillan. And because I'm the host, I get to ask both of these guys, well, how would you sum up? You like
So
that?
he kicked it back out to us, Lauren.
He just, he got the easy job.
I got the buttons. You know, these buttons have to be worth something.
Okay, I'm going to give you 20 seconds.
Okay.
I want to follow up on it. Acceptance is the answer to all of my difficulties. When I find some person, place, or thing, something that's blocking, I need to understand that's exactly the way it's supposed to be, because nothing happens in God's universe by mistake.
Yep.
Yep. Amen,
stuff.
brother. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can top that, but my idea is, summation-wise, is that we're limitless beings living in a limited reality that we're creating. And so it's the idea of asking, what am I carrying and what am I creating with intention? You know, how am I creating my life in this moment?
Yeah.
How am I living each present moment?
And one of the truths that, you know, one of the very first one was, we're creating everything, all of it.
Yeah.
But if we're not aware of it, if we don't see it, you know, we're going to convince ourselves then we're something else. Whether it's a victim, whether it's a
perpetrator,
or even a rescuer.
Yeah.
We get into that, and they're really all
roles.
three the same thing.
Yep.
You know, once we're caught, it's a trap. So, Jay, thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren, thank you.
Great show, David.
Y'all did good.
My
good.
truck still got some stuff in the back.
Yeah,
we'll
well,
have to unload more next
we'll
time.
unload more.
unload.
Next
Yeah.
time you come, we'll unload more. Folks, thank you for tuning into Strategies. We appreciate you being here. And we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing, Learning RX, the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, and some pretty good muffies too. Go by and get you one. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call for Lauren Leon McMillan and for Jay Merle. I'm David McMillan. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.